Cross-border trade of electricity is nothing new. It has been happening for some time now through bilateral agreements, memorandum of understandings, or power trade agreements between the two countries. But the recent developments in Bangladesh has once again generated the debate on the policy side and the element of risk involved for the players involved. This and more in the latest episode of Energonomics. In order to facilitate and promote cross-border trade of electricity with greater transparency, consistency, and predictability in regulatory approaches across jurisdictions and minimize perception of regulatory risks, the Guidelines on Cross-Border Trade of Electricity 2016 were issued by the Ministry of Power in December 2016. After receiving inputs from various stakeholders, a need was felt to revise the same. Accordingly, new guidelines were issued in 2018. Most recently, on August 12, prompted by the developments in Bangladesh, the Union government further tweaked the power trade norms to protect the interests of the local players selling electricity to the neighboring countries. It allowed power exporters to reroute their supplies to the Indian grid in case there was a delay in payment from the partner countries. Indian entities supply about 2,656 megawatt to Bangladesh. NTPC, SEIL Energy, and Adani Power are some of the suppliers to that country. There were two key elements in the latest changes which were brought into the norms. The first, spot e-auction of coal or coal from the commercial coal mine was allowed. This time, it was further expanded to other sources. In other words, even gas was allowed. The second and the more important element was rerouting of the electricity. Among the Indian entities selling power to Bangladesh, the one with dedicated network is the project of Adani Power. Currently, all players have maintained that they continue to supply power to Bangladesh. Adani supplies from its 1,600 megawatt ultra supercritical power plant in Godda, Jharkhand through a dedicated transmission corridor. The plant, which was fully commissioned in July 2023 and uses imported coal, meets significant part of the northern Bangladesh's power demand. It is definitely a catch-22 situation for the Adanis as the project is not connected to the Indian network. Besides, it cannot be simultaneously connected to two networks. This led to the question as to what was the need for the Indian government to bring in this change now. To get my answer, I reached out to the former Power Secretary Alok Kumar, and this is what he had to say.
See, when you make a policy, it is almost impossible to foresee all eventualities.
Right.
So this is a case that some investment has been made in India and they were supplying power to Bangladesh, and suddenly because of the events which happened there, and their economic situation currently, the revenues to that investment have become highly uncertain. So the government in its wisdom has chosen to amend the guidelines. I personally feel it doesn't matter much, because moment to connect a generating station to grid, they will pay all connectivity charges and all say grid access charges. And as such, India has a general network access regime now, and generation is de-licensed. It is not such that somebody is being given a license from backdate or from backdoor. So this is a new situation which has arisen, and this is one way to handle the situation. That is, I can see the amendment in that light.
While India is protecting its entities, what is the status in Bangladesh? I asked Kondakar Golam Mosam, researcher with CPD, a think tank based out of Dhaka. And this is what he had to say.
Yes, but I think you may be aware that the power energy sector has confronted a number of challenges over the last couple of months, mainly because of shortages of energy, particularly, and that actually hampered the required flow of electricity as it is necessary. For example, just I checked today, the total supply yesterday was 12,890 megawatt, while the highest amount so far Bangladesh Power generated is around 16,000 megawatts. So it is far below what has its highest achievement so far. But on the other hand, if I consider the total capacity, which is over 28,000 megawatt, it is only around 52%. I think around 48% is behind. So in a way, Bangladesh's power sector couldn't actually produce as it has its potential and as much as it is required. And a major reason is because of the inability of the government to procure the energy, which basically Bangladesh import from different sources, particularly coal, diesel, high-speed diesel, furnace oil, LNG. It has imported from different sources that it couldn't actually import because of its foreign challenges. And the foreign exchange reserve is in a dwindling situation for over 1.5 years. So that has a major crisis for the power energy sector at this moment.
I asked both of them, what is the future of electricity trade? Does geopolitics govern this trade? And if yes, to what extent is the influence? And this is what both of them had to share.
Future of energy trade in South Asia region has a very good potential. Only question is at what pace it will progress. And if you see, say, from economics point of view, it is world over the different regions, they come together, the countries in the region, they come together and they cooperate, collaborate for sharing their energy resources for mutual benefits. So like Nepal, Bhutan, they have a lot of hydropower resources and their generation is quite seasonal.
True.
For meeting their requirement, they need power in, say, other months when their generation is low, so they can import power. India is a country which has a huge, demand for electricity in the next 25 years. So India should welcome, and moreover, if you have more hydropower flowing, you will be able to integrate more of solar power in India, because otherwise you will have to set up a lot of batteries for that. So it is a mutually beneficial transaction, this trading, but pace will depend on the mutual trust, which has a geopolitical dimension. And my view is that the more we integrate, say, economically, the more is easier to carry forward that trust building. So this is a positive thing. And I hope the leadership will see the long-term benefits and they will resolve the present issues and things should proceed because it is in the benefit of everybody, all the countries, regional countries.
I think the global perspective of Bangladesh is slightly different from what India is actually thinking in terms of his energy landscape. Bangladesh is actually being a climate vulnerable country, focusing both on adaptation and the mitigation issues, and like to focus on clean energy and the green energy in the future. And he'd like to focus more on 40% of the renewable energy by 2041, its political target, as it's been mentioned in the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan. So I think, and furthermore, the focus will be because the interim government has a much more intention towards, because the chief advisor is one of the global prominent of 3-0, and one of the 0 is zero net carbon emission. So definitely he will be focused more on zero decarbonization in the future. So from that angle, we will focus more on renewable energy. So what we will expect in terms of the cross-border regional trade is to focus more on renewable energy, even if it is with India, not to extend much on the fossil fuel based, like the expansion of diesel or expansion of LPG. We are, I think it would be rather more focused on renewable energy, hydro, or the other renewable energy projects. Those are being considered by Tata and other and Adani and other projects there. Those are being considered there. On the other hand, from the Indian side, the energy perspective a little bit in a sense, I would say, more pushing towards decarbonization, comparatively slower than what the UNFCCC being targeting by 2050 net zero emission, while India targeting by 2070.
As the debates and discussions continue, one thing is clear, that on the face of it, these changes were brought in to make it easier for projects like Adani Power. But in the long run, it does protect the Indian entities from any emerging geopolitical tensions or issues or challenges which may arise. It also prepares the country for the future in electricity trade. How successful it will be, as the days progress, we will know. Thank you. My detailed conversations with Alok Kumar and Mosam are given in the links below.